Watch this.
Happy Friday, you made it to the week, and welcome to the 208 on this first Friday of the Idaho legislative season. Here we are, strap in. Following the governor's State of the State address on Monday, lawmakers got settled in and are now working through their annual procedural business. But while the business isn't the most exciting thing of the session, it is important because everything they talk about this week really helps set the tone for the rest of the session. So, what did happen under the dome this week? Let's take a look. Pomp and circumstance set the tone for the week at the Idaho State House. The State of the State setting up the 67th Idaho Legislature. Fresh off an election win, Governor Brad Little kicked off his second term.
4 years ago, I stated my goal is to make Idaho a place where we all can thrive and where our children and grandchildren choose to stay, and for those that left, choose to return.
Priorities for the year made clear, including a major continued theme.
What was your, topic that you're most passionate about of what you just presented?
Oh, education. It's pretty simple. Life is complicated, and these teachers, these kids are way more complicated. You know, you got social media, you got all these other issues. We need to support those kids and support their teachers so that those challenges that those kids have, we can get them educated, get them very concerned about lifelong living and building the skill set so they'll be happy Idahoans.
From there, lawmakers gave their takes. A lot of support for education, but still questions ahead on what the funding will look like specifically on all these education ideas. It's not all about education, though. The stage is set for debates on property taxes, infrastructure, a lot of Idaho issues, including Medicaid. Yes, 5 years after Idaho voters approved expanding Medicaid in Idaho, the program is now up for review. Republicans have voiced concerns about the growing cost of the program.
It sounded really good when it got here, and it hasn't really performed on what we were sold. You know, the voters were told it was going to do certain things that it didn't do. So hopefully when they look at that, they can see where the variance was, what caused the variance, if there's a way to fix the variance. You see that the health insurance exchange, for example, is going broke. All those people some of which would like to stay on the exchange, are actually being forced into Medicaid.
Democrats maintain that the price is worth it and that Medicaid actually offsets many other state costs.
Representative Moyle speaking about that. Medicaid has been a wonderful investment in our state, and it has kept thousands of people healthy and on health insurance. And thank God we had Medicaid expansion when we did, especially during this pandemic. And we will not want to strip anyone of their health care, especially in this economy.
It only took about 1 week for a controversy to pop out of a committee meeting. Republican Representative Jack Nelson drew attention with his self-introduction in the House Agriculture Committee.
Jack Nelson, District 26. I'm a lifelong dairy farmer, retired, still own part of a dairy. Grew up on the farm. I've milked a few cows, spent most of my time walking behind lines of cows. So if you want some ideas on repro and the women's health thing, I have some definite opinions.
As you can imagine, the comment drew criticism heavily on social media, but Representative Nelson profusely apologized, saying essentially that the comment got away from him, telling us in a statement, "I absolutely respect women and the right to choose their own health care. The way I phrased my statement about women and reproductive rights yesterday missed the mark and offended others in the process. I'm sorry. I recognize the mistake and commit to doing better in the future. I have always operated and will continue to operate under the standard that the government does not belong in the doctor's office." Next week, comments in House AG, they'll likely be more polished. Lawmakers also got to work in week 1, of course, pitching ideas on legislative rules and budgets. On the bigger ideas side, Representative Bruce Skog, a Republican, introduced an idea to penalize local governments who refuse to enforce Idaho's criminal abortion laws. The specific reference here is likely the city of Boise. They said last July that city resources essentially will not be prioritized for investigations or allegations into illegal abortions in Boise. Representative Skog's idea centers on withholding tax dollars if a city does what Boise is.
If we allow cities to start sliding away from the laws that are felonies in this state, to say, well, we're just not going to enforce those, then we're going to end up like Portland or Seattle and the anarchy that has started to edge in those cities. And this is just one area. So I would like to see this applied to other felonies, but we're just zeroing in on this one right now.
So everything is in the early stages in week 1 at the State House, but we know week 2 will bring a slew of ideas to build on for weeks to come. State of Idaho made national headlines this week. Guess the setting. Did you guess school board? If you did, you nailed it. Hundreds of people showed up to a Caldwell School Board meeting as the district looks at a policy centering on gender identity. It's a very sensitive topic, make no mistake. The proposed policy in Caldwell is about gender identity and sexual orientation and how the school district could make students that identify differently feel more comfortable in school by adopting policies that allow them to use bathrooms and locker rooms of their choice by addressing their preferred pronoun. But depending on where you saw the news this week, you'll have a vastly different view into what happened. So let's start with coverage on this topic on one of the biggest cable platforms on the planet.
A heated hearing after parents showed up to sound off on a new transgender bathroom and locker room policy. Take a look at this.
Imagine you are a young female, shy, feeling awkward about your growing body, and your school has allowed a biological male to undress in the same locker room as you.
Please, I've already said no applause.
I don't think that it's right for a boy who feels that he's a girl to change in the same room as the girls.
Before you put a kid in harm's way, you better throw this policy out.
All right, meeting has been adjourned.
The fact that the chair of the school board shut down the meeting after that raucous applause for your side of the argument, mind you, what does that tell you, Brittany?
You know, they have no interest in hearing how the parents feel. They have no interest in including us in their decisions. They are just tyrants and they just want to push their agenda and do their own thing.
What's to stop a prepubescent boy who wants to, quite frankly, get a look at girls changing from identifying as a girl and then just going on in there?
That's a good question, Todd. The problem we have here is the school board is attempting to force a policy on parents and their children and remove their privacy and put them in harm's way.
So what did you take from that? It seems that the narrative could be from the TV hosts and the Caldwell parents there is that the Caldwell School Board shut down the meeting because they didn't want to hear their side of the debate. So, okay, here on the 208, we work in TV. We get television timing, we get television producing, so maybe the cable news clip was edited for time. Only the producers and the team on that show can tell you what their motivation or angle was for the segment. Well, our team was in the room for that whole meeting, so here's some added context that was not included in the cable clip.
We pay your guys' wage. We voted for you. We can vote you out.
Amen.
Unfortunately, after several warnings from the board chair,
We can stop this meeting. I've already asked you folks.
people got a little out of hand and were cheering from the audience, and we're not respecting the order of the school board meeting. And so because there was not order and because we could not maintain order, we did have to end the school board meeting tonight.
All right, meeting has been adjourned.
We are the people. We are the people. Do your job. Do your job, you cowards. That's the only reason. Because your son is dead. You shouldn't be around children. You shouldn't be around children.
The Caldwell School Board and the Caldwell School District believe in democracy, and we believe in communicating respectfully. And unfortunately tonight reached a place where people were not communicating respectfully.
Okay, so our local news clip maybe has a different tone than the cable news clip. The one that we showed you, a little more chaotic. It seems the narrative of the extended clip, though, is that the board adjourned because the meeting got out of hand. No malicious intent or effort to cut off one side or the other, just things got out of hand. In fact, the Fox clip heavily implies that the meeting was cut off because parents were clapping and supporting the conservative view. The school board asked the entire room to be respectful and not apply to either side. Either side is the key here, by the way. Remember that there are those that showed up at the meeting who support the idea to allow students to be themselves and identify how they feel. Now, Caldwell probably didn't expect hundreds and hundreds of people lined out into the parking lot for a school board meeting. But instead of guessing or assigning motivation to the school board decision to end that meeting, why don't we ask them? Well, our Brian Holmes did. He spoke with the board president.
Have you ever been involved in anything like this scenario before?
Like what happened last night in the meeting?
Yes.
It was never like this. It wasn't, this was more of a mob mentality kind of thing, you know? And so it was scary. This is the first time that I had, it was intimidating. I was scared for the safety of my board and some of the students that were here.
Were you surprised by the turnout?
Yes. very much so. What I was more surprised is that many of these people that were here were not Caldwell School District patrons. They were from out of town.
So the number of people that were there surprised you. What about the tone?
I figured that that's the way it was going to be, but Brian, I wish that more of our meetings had more people that were that could come and speak, and because we are not elected officials, elected by our constituents, and we represent them, so we want to hear what they have to say.
Just not to that volume?
Probably, I don't mind the volume. It's just the temperament and the hostility and aggressiveness. I think it was uncalled for, and it does not define civil discourse.
Okay, so a few things here. Like the school board president has said, they want to hear from parents on all sides of the issue, and parents should be involved in sensitive conversations. We can clearly see that there are two sides that are very far apart on the issue of gender identity in public schools, and frankly, how students should use bathrooms and locker rooms. And that conversation is up to that community. And there's a lot more we could touch on, but we'll leave it there for now. The problem here, though, is the fact that the Caldwell School Board is possibly being portrayed to a national audience as being unwilling to listen to the conservative parents that have serious and valid concerns. That is not true, though. They did want to listen to both sides. And parents are entitled to their opinion on any of this, and they should share it. But making your local school board a target of an already hostile mob, as it was called, it's simply not productive. And I've spoken to school board members across our area over the last several years, and they tell me that these volunteer positions are the most stressful thing that they have ever dealt with. Screaming, yelling, threats, they get it all, constantly, all the time, on all different kinds of subjects. Now, is this subject emotional? Yeah, it is. It's the sensitive, awkward reality of being a parent of a developing person. But treating this school board with a hostile tone, it's unfair, and frankly, it only escalates the already fire-hot rhetoric around this topic. Stand up for what you believe in. Share your opinion, engage in discussion, but stop being lazy and resorting to aggressive behavior aimed at intimidating people you don't agree with. By the way, the claims of biased journalism, it goes both ways. The state senator in the Fox clip refused to talk to our team when we got in touch with him at the state capitol. He told our Brian Holmes he would not speak to us on the 208 because he thought that our coverage of the event on that night was quote unquote untrue. It's his opinion, but we stand by the work in the clips that we just showed you. By the way, the invitation to talk about policy in the situation remains open to the state senator. Guess we'll circle back next week. Friday night energy is brewing in downtown Boise. The Idaho Steelheads set for a weekend series with the Utah Grizzlies. Steelheads are first in the conference, first in the division, first in the league, and first in big-time statistics, as they are the hottest team in the ECHL. This morning, the team hit the ice ahead of their 7-10 puck drop tonight. Steelheads are 9-1 in their last 10 games. They sit at a league best, 27-4-1. Hot goaltending and explosive offense are the early season hallmarks of the Idaho Steelheads. Of course, Kelly Cup hopefuls through 32 games. The Steelheads will look a little different tonight and tomorrow, though. They've got special jerseys for the community fundraiser, Pink in the Rink. Steelheads general manager Steven Anderson shares the details.
Game-worn jerseys by the players are going to be auctioned off, with all the proceeds going to St. Luke's and benefiting the Breast Care Services Center for research towards breast care. So we've been doing Pink in the Rink, I believe, for 16 seasons. We've been working with St. Luke's for all 25. I think Pink in the Rink has made over $250,000 over the 16 years. Last year alone was over $34,000. So we're hoping to beat that over the weekend. We have the best fans. I mean, we've played, I think, 15 home games. 13 have been sold out. We have the best fans by far in the ECHL.
I personally love the jerseys. Awesome design, really good color scheme, creative way to do it. Puck drop tonight, though, 7:10 p.m. Steelheads and the Grizzlies will also run it back at 7:10 tomorrow night. You can watch the game with the voice of the Steelheads, Cam McGuire, on the call on Sparklight Channel 72 locally, and you can listen to the Steelheads on 95.3 The Ticket. I'll also be joining Cam on tomorrow's broadcast, so I hope you guys can join us. Bubbles, tornadoes, and magnets, oh my. Hands-on interaction is a key part of many attractions at the Discovery Center of Idaho, but what about a back-on experience? Got a story idea? Maybe a comment or a concern? A joke? Criticism? Text us. Here's my number, 208 321-5614. If you send us a message, please include your name, the hashtag the 208, and keep it clean so we can show it on air. Oh yeah, that's right. We show these on air, and we'll have a few of your comments coming up at the end of the show. Ever played with the water tornado? How about the giant bubble? Maybe you've even seen Sue the T-Rex there. The hands-on exhibits are all great staples of the Discovery Center in Boise. And back in 1999, Idaho Life reporter John Miller checked out a then new exhibit, one of the side-splitting nature.
At the Discovery Center of Idaho, they have all kinds of amazing exhibits, but roll out a bed of nails and kids will flock to it like it's a bed of nails.
Probably gonna kill himself.
He is John Bernardo.
What do you know about bed of nails?
I know a lot. And he's out to make a point. There are about 300 of them.
Wow, real sharp.
Give it a try, and they are very sharp.
It popped.
You just have to believe. I'm going to lie on a bed of nails, and then I'm going to put this heavy concrete block on my chest just because I'm silly.
Just because he's silly.
Feel good? And then they're going to take a sledgehammer and see if they can't break the block while it's on my chest while I'm lying on a bed of nails.
And you're wondering, what's John Bernardo thinking?
Pressure equals force over area.
The kids were thinking something else.
He's crazy.
Wondering,
Are he gonna rip his pants? Crazy, crazy, crazy.
now we promise not to show the actual moment on TV, but we can tell you this. The cinder blocks didn't survive. Did John?
You'll have to wait and see.
John Miller, Idaho's News Channel 7.
Happy to report we do know that John survived, and we also know that the Discovery Center is still going strong. In fact, they have expanded their exhibit space over the years. If you haven't seen this, go check this out. Currently, the Discovery Center is hosting the slime exhibition, where you can learn and experiment with the non-Newtonian fluid. If you want to check it out, it's there till February 5th. That is because DCI will be gearing up for a new exhibit called The Fans Strike Back. According to a news release, the new exhibit will feature a special selection of actor-signed film masks, props, set costumes, and much, much more. It is sure to be enjoyed by all Star Wars fans. Yes, this is a Star Wars exhibit, including this one and including the ones in the back. We'll all be there, and maybe we'll see you there. Make sure to check it out.
So I was hoping that I could share a beautiful sunset with you all from hopefully catching one on one of these 4 different views like we did last night. Last night was a beautiful sunset, but the clouds have pretty much taken over as the sun is continuing to set, and we're seeing clouds across all of these areas, as well as more mild temperatures than we would typically see for this time of year. The temperatures reflect more of a March timeframe than a January timeframe, although it's definitely still looking like winter across many of those mountain spots. As we go into the evening hours tonight, just know that we will be expecting moisture to continue to work its way into our area and to the region, but you can see it's timing out to be very late in the evening, so roughly around between 10 and 11. For valley locations, you can expect that to start as rain, and in mountain areas above 5,000 feet, you can expect some snow. And we expect that rain to continue into tomorrow, where we see those chances increase as the day goes on, and we'll also be seeing more of those mild temperatures tomorrow as well. And that's because we've got more moisture coming in from the Pacific. I know I sound a little bit like a broken record, but we are expecting that moisture to continue to make its way inland. As far as our region goes, we are seeing pretty calm weather in comparison. California still has flood alerts in place. It's only in the northern part of the state where we have winter weather alerts in place. So here's how some of that moisture is expected to time out. Just know that once we get into the evening tonight, you're going to expect to see several rounds of moisture into Saturday and Sunday. And so just know that if you get a little bit of a break, there's a chance that that moisture is coming back. And so again, as we get into the higher elevation, about 5,000 feet above, we start to see that snow accumulate. Sunday morning, we have a chance of seeing some of that snow over in the Twin Falls area, so just keep that in mind. Overall, your 7-day forecast is looking more mild in the near term, but then we do see a cooling trend. And if you're wondering if that cooling trend will continue, well, I can tell you at least for the next 10 days, it will. So even though it feels a little bit like spring today, we'll be getting right back to winter.
All right, folks, let's take a look at some of your comments in the half hour here. This person says, regarding the school bathroom issue, why not dedicate a single-person bathroom for the shy, the bi, or that person who wants some privacy? That from Anna Lee. Anna Lee makes a point. There's a lot of policies and ideas you can come up with and talk about as a community without shouting at each other. Just one idea there, not saying it's right or wrong. Thank you, KTVB, for the non-biased comments in regards to the Caldwell School District Board meeting. I have never been so thankful to not have to run for the school board when asked by teachers to run. It's horrible to think that adults cannot follow rules and have a respectful conversation about an issue that is facing school boards across the nation. Kudos to Caldwell for trying to have the discussion. Yeah, thank you for the comment. Vicky there, the school boards, they do good work. This person says, you cannot pay me enough to volunteer for a school board position in this state. That is Leon from Meridian. It echoes the fact that people around Idaho feel this way, so be very grateful for your school boards. Please don't terrorize them. This person says, I agree that your reporting on the Caldwell School District meeting did a redundant job of presenting the balanced coverage. Civil discourse is essential, especially on an issue as complex as this one. Thank you, Bill J. And then this person says, they were there, they were in attendance for the school board meeting, and that we've covered it honestly and objectively. When an angry mob confuses voice, meeting was not safe. All right, so we'll continue this conversation, of course, next week. Stay healthy. Have a great weekend, folks. We'll see you Monday.